Aloha nui kako. Aloha. Just wanted to say hello to Beverly. She probably doesn't know me, but I know her, and and I just wanted to say aloha to all of those who are older than me, and thank you for coming to see me talk. It's different for me to speak to people that probably have more experience than me, so thank you so much for giving us the time. But my name is Lehua Alapai. I am 18 generation lineal descendant of Aina Kaha or Kekaha Wai ʻOle on North Kona from this district, Puʻuanahulu, it's this side, well not in Puʻuanahulu, this side, Puʻuanahulu all the way to Keʻahuʻolu, Kona. My ohana still homesteads in Puʻuanahulu, Mauka on Top Road, Mamalahoa. You guys probably go up on the Pali, past Puʻuaʻawaʻa coming this way. Because we always come from Kona, come up the Pali, past Puʻuaʻawaʻa into the little town village called Puʻuanahulu, and our ohana lives there on the Makai side of the road. That's all homestead lands, and we have the rodeo arena there and a little rec center that we have been taking care of since the golf course was put up. So we are under ʻŌiwi Puʻuanahulu. We represent that nonprofit. He sits on the board, and we also represent all the ohana who are from these, well, not all the ohana, maybe I shouldn't say that, but our ohana Alapai, and but we honor everybody who's from here, who chooses to live here and make it their home. We think we all have the same koleana, so we honor all people. And this is my muliloa brother.
I'm the big little brother of Lehua. My name is Kapena Alapai. I am also 18th generation lineal descendant. From Puʻuanahulu. My work really comes from the realm of arts and culture and from Hawaiian language. So I at different points of my life have intersected that work with science and science lens things, Aina restoration or Aloha Aina type practices and methodologies. But it is a new field for me in particular to look at Aina stewardship, with all of that, all of the things that it entails nowadays. Yeah. So we wanted to, also in just sharing where we're from, we wanted to just do a mele for you guys. This mele is Puʻuanahulu, which you guys may have heard before. It's written by our great-great-grandfather, David Alapai Kahinu. For one, thank you for inviting me, because it's the first time I've touched this ukulele in months. So I'm also like, whoa, it's a different energy to be performing. I'm used to being an administrator behind the scenes of all the artists who are actually doing the things. But we're gonna make things happen. But this mele really ties in some of the place names from Puʻuanahulu. It also talks about, it has a nod to the church that was in Puʻuanahulu, the red church that some of you may pass, and you see gates, you see tents, you're like, what is happening with this church? There's lots going on. Our ohana, we have ohana buried there, but in the mele we talk about giving what you can to the church, likening some of the offerings to the yellow of the manu'o'o bird and its hulu. And it's really, also nods to the history of Ka'onohimaka, which was the pastor in that area of Kekaha. He helped to establish many churches in the area, and he would traverse for weeks on end from village to town in Kekaha, from all along the coast, go up Mauka, and then come back, and it was a big circle. There's lots in there, but this mele talks about that too.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that this mele, it's pretty popular. lots of different people have sung it. And I grew up dancing it with my Auntie Lois, who, thank goodness we have her on in a recording, who could sing falsetto, and nobody can really replicate the way she did it, but we do our best. And this mele really is to honor our ohana, who, you know, we should include here, and I would love that for them to be here, but they would never talk in front of a crowd. So, you know, it's my way of bringing them with me and bringing them here, and all of our generations before us who helped to get us to this point, and taking care of Aina that we have been stewarding for generations, and trying to be the generation getting back to the kai, because we're very Mauka, Uka people at this point, but we weren't always, of course. We were on the ocean. We were lavai'a and fishermen and salt makers. And so, you know, we've been disconnected from that. And so to come back around in our generation is really a privilege. I'm amazed that we're here, and we're so thankful to all of you who have supported our effort to return us to that place and to come up with a unique plan to take care of Malama that includes all of us, and that is more sustainable and saves it and keeps it in conservation forever. So yeah, I know, it's such a good thing. So this is for my ohana who couldn't be here, but one day we're gonna all be together, and I just have this vision where we're all gonna be on Aina together, and they can be themselves and be, you know, le'a and laughing and telling jokes, and it's hard for us to be the only two speakers for them, but we're the youngest of our generation, and so, you know, when you're the babies of the generation, you're the guys they said, you go. So just to mahalo them, we're gonna offer this.
And just know that you may hear this song in different tempos, different versions of the verses. All of it's true. You know,
All of it's good.
after a long day of riding horse, the songs come out however they're gonna come out.
Right.
You know, when you're all sitting around. So yeah. So this is Puʻuanahulu.
funny that I'm here dancing it by myself. When I was little, I would run away. Imagine it being like, Lehua, where are you? All my cousins would be up there, but I was the younger one, so I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't feel good enough as a dancer. Is it better this way or? This is better, okay. So mahalo for letting me do that and for sharing with us. We just wanted to start with a mo'olelo to kind of set the tone for our what we consider kaha lands, what we consider part of our kuleana, because it's not bound by these man-made boundaries. So we wanted to share the story of Va'ava'a and Anohulu and Anaiho'omalu and Puako. Anaiho'omalu and Puako were lovely, beautiful girls, women from Puna, from Pu'ala'a in Puna. And they decided to travel over the island and come to these lands to find kane or husbands. And because their mom and dad didn't want to be there in Puna without them, they decided to follow them with all of their attendants. And and their mom and dad is Va'ava'a and Anohulu. And they were a priestess, and Anohulu was the priestess, and they came over with their seers and their attendants, and they settled in these lands. Anaiho'omalu and Puako came down to the coast over here and looked for husbands. Anaiho'omalu found Lalamilo, right? Was it Anaiho'omalu and Lalamilo? Oh no, Anaiho'omalu found
Puako and Lalamilo, yeah.
Yeah, Puako and Lalamilo. So Anaiho'omalu found Lalamilo because she loved he'e and she wanted to eat he'e all the time. So she found this super good, skilled he'e grabber, hunter. And they settled over here. And Puako, or was that Puako?
The head is at Puako.
The head is at Puako. Kalamai.
At Waimea.
At Waimea. Okay. Maybe you tell this part. You tell this part.
She's my older sister, so I gotta give her the primacy. But
you gotta do what I say.
Yeah, no, for sure. So Lalamilo, Puako meets the chiefess of the area, which is ʻUla, and Lalamilo. And Puako is so beautiful. ʻUla, who's the chiefess of Kalahui Pua'a and Waimea places, which is just north of Anaiho'omalu Bay. ʻUla thinks that Puako is so beautiful. She's like, and she knows that she has such a love of he'e. She's like, I'm gonna introduce you to my son Lalamilo. He is the best he'e fisherman in all the land. And so they hit it off, they meet, and they live their lives out fishing for he'e, beautiful, down at Waimea. And her sister, Anaiho'omalu, has a hankering for pa'au'au fish. And so she goes down to Kapalaua and she meets Chiefess Kuaiva.
Mm-hmm.
And Kuaiva, seeing how beautiful Anaiho'omalu is, introduces her to her son. Oh gosh, what is his name? Naipu Ikalaulani. Yes, Kalamai. Lots of big names, yeah. But together they live at Kapalaua. And so these are some of the stories that show us how these place names come to be, yeah. Kohala, North Kona, South Kohala, North Kona. There is a boundary there, but really not when you look at the mo'olelo. Not when you look at the stories or the families. This is all Kekaha. So it's important to take a look at the folklore, and it's important to rebirth these mo'olelo, retell these mo'olelo that show us how places are linked, how they contribute to our understanding of place, So now Puako and Waimea, they're all known for their he'e. Anaiho'omalu is known for pa'au'au and other types of fish. It's that type of, and Kapalaua, same. So it's important that we understand this as the native knowledge for how land is stewarded. You know, that mo'olelo also tells us when the he'e come out from the deep ocean up to the shallow and dig their pukas. And it's important to heed how all of this comes out to play and encompasses what we understand as native knowledge and indigenous knowledge, and helps us frame what we do as land stewardship, you know, and how we intersect that with the realm of science and things like that. But yeah.
Mahalo for clarifying that. Mo'olelo for me, for Tita, he went to school, learned Olelo Hawaii, and I went to school, but it was weird for me to learn Olelo in school, even though I went to Hilo, Manoa, all over. There was something missing for me. I feel like I couldn't learn it in a classroom setting. So just being immersed in it, I think, is when I'm going to pick it up and stop being shame. I think I have an element of shame or guilt, but you know, we're here. He's next generation carrying on. So, you know, it's good we come in pairs. It's good. We all are, you know, doing our best in our own roles. But so Kapalawa, as you heard in that story, we are very pili. The Alapai ohana specifically is very pili to Kapalawa. David Alapai was a cantoneer there. And he's buried there. He married Konanui, who is actually the line that is from Kapalawa. And so they lived there that line lived there for many, many years. Eventually, you know, with the introduction of the new economy and cows and horses, the people had to move upland, which is where we are now. And so we were disconnected from being Lawai'a, from our language. And so, you know, really returning to that space right now is everything for my ohana, and trying to reintroduce them back to that space is going to be the biggest challenge for me, you know, to make them feel comfortable again in the place that we've heard mo'olelo and we all have aloha for, but maybe we haven't been able to be there as often, haven't had as much access. And this opportunity for us to be back on that land came from Trust for Public Land and Waikoloa Land Company. Waikoloa Land Company decided that they couldn't build any more condos there. They tried, they had a master plan to put up a condominium. Ohana before me came and were part of the cultural assessments and gave testimony, including my dad. I did at one point many years ago. I was super young, but I gave testimony anyway. And the Keʻelikōlanis, my Uncle Raymond, Uncle Howard, they all showed up to really voice, you know, our aloha for that land. And I remember from being with them, and I remember them saying things like, we're never going to stop it. We're never going to stop the development. So, you know, if you do, can you just please take care of my kupuna's petroglyphs? And can you please take care of the water? Can you please not bring machines in here? Can you hand weed and manually take out the invasives? You know, so they were, I mean, there was this sense of there's nothing we can do, but we're here to say, you know, we love this place. Our ohana are buried here. Our ohanas, the proof of their existence is here all over the land in petroglyphs, in habitation caves. So please just take care of it. And I think that was enough for Waikoloa Land Company to say, okay, I don't know, maybe this is not the right way to do it. And many years later, after those initial inventories, Waikoloa Land Company got in touch with Trust for Public Land, and that was in 2021, I believe. And eventually they found us in the uplands, na ʻŌiwi or Puʻuanahulu. They were at it for a year, just trying to figure out how to return that land two people from that place, and it took them a little bit to find us, because we don't put ourselves out there that much. We're happy staying in our little Mauka bubble and taking care of our 10 acres and our rodeo arena and our rec center, and we try to stay out of the way, and so it took them a little while to find us again, and they did. They found us. It was an interesting story. It took them a little bit, but my kumu from high school asked his friend from UH Hilo if he knew anybody from Kona, from Kapalua specifically. He said, I think my roommate from college. And then she went, oh, and his sister is my student from high school. And that's really how they found us, Waikoloa Land Company, through their consultant, Kanani Aton. So Carrie Bodecker and Kanani were really driving this forward to try and find the right stewards, and we weren't quite ready. I would say we weren't sure, which now in hindsight seems so ridiculous, but when Trust for Public Land comes and Waikoloa Land Company comes to the ohana and says, oh, we have 27 acres here, we're going to try to get it back to you, we're going to raise the funds, Trust for Public Land, to buy it, but we'll deed it to you. And we were like, wait, what? We were it was a little bit for my ohana to wrap their head around it. And we had to have many meetings, and it was difficult because there's not, the trust is, it's not there. And even with me, it took a little bit to understand the process. And TPO had to walk us through it with the land negotiations and all the due diligence to get to this point. But thank goodness, my ohana rose to the occasion, and it really took because I wasn't sure. My ohana, we're all going through a lot, and we do a lot just to survive and show up and meet each other and make decisions for our place up there. So to ask them to add another thing was kind of scary, and I wasn't sure if my ohana was quite ready. But the next generation, even below him, our niece, got up and talked to the ohana and said, now, why wouldn't we do this? We're the ones that are supposed to be taking care of this place. It's our kuleana. We should do it. Whether we make mistakes or not, it's okay. We just go and we try our best. And that really got me to come over, because I wasn't sure. To organize ohana is not a small thing. It takes a lot, and everybody's at different points in their journey for healing and trust and relationship building. And so, we have to make room for each other. We have to take our time, no matter what the deadline is. We take our time, and we just try to aloha each other the best way we can, discuss it, hold each other's hand, bring each other along. So that was the hardest part for me. But we got there, and it's the right time. So we're ready. Sorry, you had a question.
Well, before you...
Where exactly are we talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about... okay, we're going to go by landmarks. So if you're driving down Waikoloa Road to the hotels, and you're going to the beach access where Lava, and then there's the bungalows there to the left of Lava, which used to be Parker Ranch cabanas. We're talking about the 27 acres immediately in the lava field from there, from the high water mark up to the Keahua Lono Heiau, which is by Queen Shops. It's on the road, I think, to a Helco installation out there in the middle of the field. And it's a diagonal piece. And when you guys are have some free time, please come up and take a look. There's some maps of where the property is and where it is in relation to the Ahupua'a and the development down there. And so I just wanted to elaborate on what my sister has already shared. When we talk about capacity to take on another thing, Lehua mentioned our ohanas, when the new economies came in, our ohanas traded practices from subsistence to cash-driven, monetized jobs. And so it only takes one generation to lose practice. It may take hundreds of generations to build it up, to really understand the land that you're working on. It's not easy to live in a place called Kekaha Wai ʻOle, to live in a place where it says no more water over here. But really, you know, when you read the old stories, you learn that the water that people lived off of was half fresh, half salt. You know, and that was enough to get them by. You know, and they talk about it. They're like, it's just not sweet. Our water's not sweet. I'm like, okay, what does that mean exactly? No, it's kind of salty, but you'll live. You know, So it just so happened, you know, and we're very thankful that our ohana had come together to reinvigorate a nonprofit from my dad's generation that had started, which was called Puʻuanahulu Community Association. It was the iteration of the nonprofit that actually acquired the 10 acres, the community center, the arena, the families of place, ours and others, worked with the original developers of the country club there. You know, we said, we'll work with you to provide this as long as you provide jobs, you provide access to water, you provide us with a rec center, an arena, and a baseball field. Does anybody see the baseball field? No, there's no baseball field. Also, the center was supposed to have doors on it. I will also say that my family and others in the community are paying for their water. You know, there's a lot of promises that were made that are not kept. You know, so the ohanas live with that truth all day, every day. And so to be welcomed back to a place by someone like Waikoloa Land Company, we have a lot of guards up. You know, and there's a lot of conversations that people want to have right away. What do you envision for this place? What do you see for the future of this place? When you're asking people of place that question, if they haven't had continuous contact with that place, it's so hard to trust that a future there is even possible. We had to stop a lot of those conversations and reshift. You know what? We haven't been back here in so long. We haven't been invited back. We haven't had a chance to bring our practices back, just be here without outside influence. I can't envision a future yet. I don't trust it. I can't let myself go there, you know, because if it doesn't happen, that's just digging another letdown, another hurt, another heal, you know, another thing I need to heal. I'm the youngest of my generation. I now have the words to express these things. We're talking about paniolo and, you know, truck drivers and construction workers who do not have the language to express how they're feeling. You know, this is, you know, we're talking about family who have not expressed pain or not, you know, because we make strong, we don't cry. We, you know, cowboy life is hard life. We're not talking about our vulnerabilities. We're not talking about what it takes to allow ourselves to envision future. You know, we're just surviving. So there's a layer that needs to be unpacked when you talk about land, especially with native stewards. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one. And I will share that we were able to reincorporate our nonprofit, which happened by the grace of all the akua, all our aumakua at the same time that we were approached. So we were already in the process of reintroducing ourselves to each other, learning all the new generations of people that have come up, you know, building trust between one another, finding how we're going to work together again, and then all of a sudden be tasked with 27 acres of ancestral land. It's a huge thing that happened, and none of us really, still, we have cousins who are like, I can't believe this is actually happening. You know, as much as our ohana has stepped up and showed ourselves, we come out when machines are on aina, when people ask for surveys, you know, our ohana shows up. We're engaged in that process. But when it comes to systemic understanding the systems that are meant to help you, like PONC, like Legacy Land Conservation Commission, the conservation program. I mean, you know, unless people are approaching us and saying, we know what you're doing, we would like to help you do this. It really, we're years out. We would have been years and years and years, maybe generations out before ever accomplishing something like this. So we really have to lift up TPL, Reina, Ramolete, Hayashi, And, yeah, exactly.
All the people who started TPL.
All the people that started TPL, all the Ponk commissioners who fought for,
Convinced others.
who convinced others to set up that fund, which is only in the county of Hawaii, right?
Well, there's there are. But
but
we
this
have the
one.
highest.
Yeah, we have the highest.
We give the highest percentage.
So is your land Ponk land?
Yes.
You're dealing with the county?
So we're working with Ponk to Ponk funds will be used to purchase conservation easement that will be managed by the county.
Yeah, it's sort of hard to understand. Sorry, say that.
What does Ponk stand for?
That's a good one.
Access, open space, natural resource.
Something. Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
I don't know what the C is. Yeah. Where they take a certain percentage of the land conveyance taxes and they use it towards keeping space open.
It's like county open space.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the land was assessed at 7.4 million, I believe, and so we needed to raise that. We asked Ponk for 4.4 million. And we got it with TPL's help and support from the community. And then we had, yay! Yeah, we just did the resolution on Tuesday, maybe. They just introduced and approved it. Yeah. County Council just passed that. And then we got $3 million from the State Land Legacy Fund Conservation Program for the difference of that purchase price. So TPL is purchasing it, but Waikoloa is going to deed it to na ʻŌiwi o Puʻuanahulu. Probably by next summer, it'll be in our name, and then we're going to have conversations about stewardship plans. I work in Kaʻūpūlehu Dryland Forest, so, I have some experience with that, and we'll, figure out hopefully a unique way for this aina and our ohana and people who live here to steward together. So it's kind of fun to think about what it could look like. We want not as much impact, of course, so we maybe are thinking of a hale like this in wind country. I don't know what that's going to look like or sound like. So, I think we have to spend some time there and really get our bodies used to being in that land again and wearing the elements on our skin so we can make good decisions about what to put down there. But maybe a hale like this, a compost lua at the most, that's it. He's in arts and culture, so we think of hala or practitioners coming to weave. There's hala. We're hoping maybe to bring back lolu to the area. So just groups of people, kupuna, to come and just be together, and have a space to be. So there's lots of things we're thinking about, and we're thinking of you guys too. So because you guys are here, you guys have been here, and so we are so happy to have people like Waikoloa, like Jen at Waikoloa Dry Forest, and Hui Aloha Ki Holo, Chad and Ku'ule, Na'ala Ka Haka Trail Association, the Na'ala National Park Service, and then there's the Trail Association, which is nonprofit. Both of them support, and we'll be there. Kalaimano, KMLAC, lots of, and AAI, yes. So I'm part of a Ahupua Accelerator Initiative cohort, which was funded by Waimea Schools and Castle Foundation, which brought together sites from across the Pai'aina. Kaʻūpūlehu Dryland Forest was chosen for Hawaii Island. Protect Ho'olave Ohana, Pola Nui, which is in Lahaina. Pai Pai o He'eia on Oahu, Hui Maka'aina na o Makana in Ha'ena Kauai. So we got together almost monthly to talk about intense discussions about how to restore an ahupua'a in this day and age, in this century, with all of the different relationships and stakeholders and structures and land uses going on. So that's going to inform how we move forward too with all of those partners.
Are you working with ʻOle?
ʻOle? Somebody from ʻOle was at the conference 2 days ago. It was just this week. It's like the summit, bringing together different levels of government. So it wasn't just our cohort, which was, all of our sites. We had about 60 other agency people, and somebody from ʻOle was there, I think. Forest, USDA, the Forestry Division, State, DLNR, DAR was there, like Suzanne Case, and so lots of great military people were there. So, really bridging relationships and trying to move forward in a way that can restore Aina and bring back stewards to the land. So, yeah.
How do we support your ohana? Is it like stay tuned till you figure out what you tell us to do?
Oh, yeah. Maybe. We do have a website. We have a donation button, but we haven't set that up yet. We do take donations, for sure. But maybe we should get on that website button. Here, he's on the board, so let's ask this guy.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good question. I thank you for framing it like that. Letting us take the lead on what happens is important. We're not near any place where we can welcome public in there yet. The easement is still being negotiated on. The funds still haven't been transferred. The deed and title haven't been transferred. But after that, we will be working with Hui Aloha Kiholo and other partners to, establish a stewardship plan. And then after that, we will also be looking at how we welcome the public back onto the place with our guidance, right? Or with the ohana guidance. We're not trying to put a fence and no one's ever allowed. Of course not. We want people to come and we want people to, be there. And learn, so.
Because we're learning.
Yeah.
We're going to have to relearn from Aina.
Absolutely. We're a very small nonprofit. Right now, our budget is very small. We're building capacity as we speak. We have folks, like I said, who are still learning what it means to be on a board, how to run a meeting, how to take votes, how to take minutes, what is a 990, how do you file all these things? So we're building people's individual capacity to take on this work, so that they have all the tools.
How many people are in the ohana?
In the ohana, the ohana is really big. So there's actually 5 different families that homestead up at Puʻuanahulu, and the nonprofit serves the public. But it is run by 5 ohana seats, as well as a puʻulani. There's a seat for anyone residing in Puʻulani. If you own land in the ahupua of Puʻuanahulu, you are able to become a member and vote a board member in. Also become a board member if there's certain stipulations. There's memberships, non-memberships. But the ohana's big. Yeah.
I think on my thread count, I do the email blast for the ohana, and I think I have about almost 100 people on there. But of course, none of the kupuna are on there, right? They don't even get text, so we have to call another list of people. So I don't know, over 100.
Just cousins and the direct family. It's got to be pretty large, so.
Yeah, a couple hundreds for sure. But they're not all engaged in the same way. They show up at different times in different ways, which is good because, not everybody can do all the jobs, although we try real hard, and it seems like we have to. I don't want to do that. I want everybody to have their own role like how it used to be and be really good at the one thing. So, they show up in different ways, don't they?
Yeah. One, lineage is so vast.
So what?
I mean,
I was like, what?
I mean, we carry the name Alapai, but there's countless families who are actually related to Alapai.
Right.
Kimohale, which was one of the houses down at Kapalawa, that's the Purdy Ohana in Waimea. Huge. So we're talking large fingers of segments of our population who all have ties culturally, lineally to this Aina. And it's really about making space for them to come first, come back, understand that this is there for you to reconnect with, and to reconnect with ohana and others who are hoping to do this work together.
Land often divides Hawaiian families because it's so hard to figure out how to. It's so hard to figure the system out, and so land, generationally for the last 150 years, it divides ohanas all over the place. And so we're trying really hard to be inclusive, even, if you're, 10 generations back and you haven't been here, but your ohana is from there, welcome. We're not turning anybody away, really. I mean, if you love place and you want to be on place, we're here. We're not, we're not trying to say we're the ohana, even though people sort of say that, we feel uncomfortable. We want everybody to be represented. So, and even those who live here.
What was the first step in starting to learn these stories? Some of these lost mythologies. Your example of our water's not sweet. Like, you can't just search that on Google. Like, through different, ʻUla masters, did you go through professors of Hawaiian history, or is it just, I know someone whose family, grew up there, let's talk to grandma?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd be surprised what you can find on Google. Always take it with a grain of salt, but naturally. But first and foremost, we always have kupuna in the room, right? We're always talking. We always let kupuna talk, even if has nothing to do with what we were talking about previously. We're like, shoots, that's where the conversation's
Whatever they
going.
want to talk about.
I don't know if we should be sharing. We started recording. We started recording kupuna just when they're talking candidly.
Well, just uncle.
Just
he was so hard-headed, stubborn.
Individual uncle. Yeah. But he had the load stories.
Yeah, my Alapai uncles, they, they were, there was distance between them and anybody else. So, and they wouldn't just share. They were looking for somebody who wanted to know and who was in the right space. And so often when we would ask questions, they would talk a lot, but they wouldn't answer the question. So, you really had to figure out how to navigate that. And in the end, Uncle George, who I used to take care of in his last years of life, I decided to just start recording him. He would say, just press the button. So that was a way that we started to just try and capture. He would never talk freely, that's why. And I would never share that with anybody else because he wouldn't like that. But it's for me and my brothers and my ohana to transcribe and to look at and to piece together our history. So we do that, and then we can be the tellers of that story. Yeah.
But, recording is... I know there's an ethics question here, right? Like, don't record people who don't know they're being recorded.
Yeah, right.
But kupuna for kids of kupuna, there's a certain cadence to how Hawaiian stories are told. There's specific hu'olelo or words that they use, very intentional, and if you don't capture those right away, or you haven't been told the same story in the same fashion for years and years and years, it can be hard, because if you listen to a lot of the elders who tell stories, they tell it in the exact same way, with the same story, the same cadence, the same inflections, all the things. I went to a language college, I had to do this thing. But I'm like, it's amazing. Hawaiian stories are very specific. We were hoping to capture stories as they were told by our direct kupuna.
But a lot of stories are written down, and many of our uncles were okay with doing interviews with like Kepa Mali, who can ʻolelo. He's from Nana'i, and he was, he's kind of a famous ethnographer in our time, and he's interviewed a lot of our ohana because they felt comfortable. And so there are stories that have been recorded that some are open to the public, some are not. There are, all the stories, all the mo'olelo that is accessible to us through Kamakau and Fornander, and gosh, there's just so many poi poi, and yeah, there are these sources that you all can read from too, and we also pull from those. So thank goodness there were some scholars in the 1800s and when people were coming that were starting to write things down. Because that's the way it's done now. And then once our language was cut off, it was really difficult to transfer the stories orally. So there were those scholars back in the day that have those sources for you guys to look through as well. And it is nice when the ohana story that we're told, from just nothing written down, but within the family, there are these threads and these stories that continue and endure. And it is nice when we can confirm those stories with others in other places, or, with what was happening at the time through Kamakau or the other writers of the time, and so... Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of that. It's all that learning. It's paying attention to your family when they talk, and then it's going to school and looking through the newspapers and translating. He can translate ʻŌlelo now because not a lot of the Hawaiian newspapers are translated, and that's a wealth. That's a wealth of mo'olelo and ike. So yeah, it's just puzzling it all together and finding where these pockets of information are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Thank you. No, it's good.
Too many.
It's not.
Really,
It's all good.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, huiho. Thank you for coming. Yeah, no, mahalo. Carol, yeah? Carol.
So you're 27 acres,
Yes.
part of a much larger Kaʻūpūlehu, and I'm trying to piece it all together. So how far does it extend along the ocean, and then how far up does it go?
Oh gosh, good question. Well, I mean, we do have a map here, and you can see the little parcel of 27 acres. Gosh, I don't know what the south boundary is of Puʻuanahulu and Puawa, like Kiholo, and Laiho is right there, Keaweki, Veli Veli, and then it's Akahukaimu, which is getting into Kapalawa. I would say right around there between Laiho and Kiholo, and between Veli Veli. I don't know if you guys have been there, but around there is the boundary for Puʻuanahulu and Puawa.
And to the north?
And to the north, that's on this boundary.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. That's the boundary. Yeah. So right between Kohala and Kona it's that north boundary.
And they're all the way up Puʻuanahulu?
Yes, all the way up to. Puʻuanahulu is a huge ahupua. Yeah, really big. So it's just understand. I mean, this is not about trying to own it, right? It's not about trying to own any of that land. It's really about understanding how water moves through the ahupua, and how resources move through the ahupua, so that we can just keep in mind when can only go to the 27 acres or our Puʻuanahulu Mauka property. We understand the cycles. Yeah. Mahalo. It's huge. You can kind of see it here. But there's plenty of maps with ahupua. You can see it's really big. This is Aina Pele, Aina Pohaku, right? So ahupua here would have had to be bigger to try and capture water and other things. But the fisheries, for sure, were top notch. So hopefully we can bring that back. I'm going to have to learn how to be more comfortable. In the kai, not that comfortable.
Do you know if that land area had local area? Because I was at Kinola Bay and they said all along the coast up to Kohala.
Yes, absolutely. There were. We didn't know there were, but my grandma, Nancy Alapai Hepa, she went to school on Oahu. She was sent by the Hawaiian family, and the ranchers sent her off to work on Oahu. And she met her husband there and moved to Waianae on Oahu on the west side. And she set up a loko i'a there using what she learned from Kapalawa. So I didn't know that, and I would have never known that we had loko i'a if Grandma Nancy hadn't done that over there. And her mo'opuna, her grandkids to this day, malama that with Noah and others and other families from the area. Now they take care of that loko i'a, and so now we can bring that back here. We're hoping, those practices weren't lost. Thank goodness for Grandma. So
and you might be referring to the loko that was filled in by Pele. Are you talking about that one?
Because that's what I was told. That she covered all of it.
Yeah, just north of Kiholo Bay, there was a huge pool. And pools all the way from there, all the way up the coastline. That was filled in by Pele, and lots of stories there too. But what it does make for this coastline is the presence of ankyline ponds, which we know are super important to the ecosystem, and we know that the designation for ankyline ponds has just changed, right? Which we didn't know that now if the water surface is not connected, do others know this rule? If the surface of the water is not connected to a larger body of water, it falls under a different stewardship. I forget. I'm sorry, but I'm just. It's not protected by the Freshwater Act, or the Freshwater Act or
something. I don't know. Yeah,
something like that. But
we're learning.
Yeah, so I'm just ankyline ponds was one of the big selling points for how we got to protect this. It was one that was talked about very frequently by all the commissioners that we all talked to. So. We could talk for days, so please shut us off and please cut us off. Raise your hands if you have questions. Yeah.
I don't really know what my question is. Earlier you said that, everybody kind of got used to just consulting on these projects and explaining all these rich histories and, orienting people to these places just to have the projects built anyway, so people became more comfortable with can you please just not touch this one or that one? And I think we see that a lot across all kinds of conservation, and it's particularly heartbreaking to hear that your ohana was feeling like that. And I wonder, what came up for everybody now that the whole area is not going to be built. If it was possible, and
it still feels surreal. I know for a lot of people. It's hard. Every time we get together, we always start with, is this really happening? Can we trust these people? We have to always check in again and make sure, we are holding everybody accountable, right, to what they say. And we're explaining exactly in layman's terms what's happening and what we need to do and how we need to show up. So Kapena and I make sure all those things are being taken care of, and that whatever they say happens will happen. So, it's not easy, right? That's a hard one. We're still in the process of trying to figure all that out. And, even though Pena said it does take, it only takes one generation to lose ike, to lose olelo, to lose, your way of life. It did, it's connected to a larger history where it did take a little bit to get to this point. And so I find I know that it's going to take a little bit to come out of it, so it does take time. It's not going to be overnight. And as long as people can give us space, especially people from place who have been holding these burdens and these kaumaha and this pain for generations, as long as they get time to let it go, and I don't know about let it go, but get release and build trust again, then we can do it. But it will take time, because it took a little bit to get to this point, and so it will take us that much time to get out of it as well, including climate change and all the things that we're doing to our island. How long it took us to get here, it's probably going to take us that long to get out, but that's more urgent. So
I just think it's so important to think of all those things. You, from the outside, you could be like, oh, somebody just gave you 27 acres, like, you know, and you know, people say it to me all the time, like, just write a grant, like, just do these things. Like,
yeah.
This one ingredient, and it suddenly becomes this vibrant place again. And I know it's a ton of work, and I just really help you guys.
Aw. Thanks, Jen. Yeah. We came up against that a lot, right? Like, you're going to be landowners. So, you know, trying to prove, like, can you be a good landowner? And I'm just like, you know, I'm pretty sure we've earned the right to be back on our land and make decisions. We've been watching a lot of other people, you know, make decisions that haven't been great. And they get the room to make mistakes, and we might too. But, you know, I think we've earned the right to be there. And we don't want to own the land. God, none of us do. That is not our priority. It's really to just take care and be there. And if
that's really the beauty of what you're doing is setting an example of what stewardship can be like based on cultural, historical foundation. And that can really help serve as a model for the remainder of the island to how it approaches stewardship.
Yeah, that'd be great. But there's, you know, I mean, it takes a lot of courage on ohana and people from place to sort of want to meet people at the table, right? And then it takes people on the other side of the table to really make room. So, for us, it's timing right now. The fact that we're here and in the midst of it is cool. It doesn't happen in all places like this. I mean, so we're grateful. We're grateful. And we just want to do the right thing by Aina and by everybody, you know, so.
Well, and maybe, you know, one of the biggest things, well, I don't know if it's the biggest thing. It was a big thing. You know, just in a lot of these processes at PONC, at Legacy Land, we were hearing the other applications. Some of them had willing sellers, some of them didn't. And it was huge that we had somebody from Waikoloa Land Company, from the family of the developers themselves, who considers themselves a conservationist, who fought, you know, who did all the legwork within the internal system to come to us and be like, we want to work with you. You know, to me, that is huge, you know. Huge. So if we can, as a community of people wanting to protect land, you know, really come at it together, you know, talk to landowners everywhere. You know, if you have the opportunity and the privilege to return stewardship to people of place or anybody, inform, you know, instead of like you, inform people,
people in your group,
yes,
right. I mean, I think for Carrie, let's just give props to Carrie. She was she's the daughter of the founder of Waikoloa Land Company. I forget his first name, Bodecker, but and she, you know, she was one woman in that company who had to go to everybody on the board and others and convince them to do it this way. And it took her a little bit and it was hard on her. But by the time she came to me, she got them on board. By the time she came to us, that we were ready to go. So she did a lot of work even before she came to us, and that was important. That
was big in trust building.
Yeah.
You know, and
that's a good way to look at it too. Maybe we can talk about Mom and how she moves through the world and how we have her
yes, but be careful.
Inform. Well, no, because you know she's always trying to think how she can help.
Planning a cultural center as they expand. No. Oh, the Waikoloa developers, they're expanding the condos and all of that. And part of that is going to be a dedicated cultural center.
Yeah, you heard that.
Part of that conversation as well.
We have been, we were asked to come to the table and help make that cultural center. And Pena pretty much told them, we're not ready to contribute to this cultural center. We're the youngest of our generation. We need to bring our people back first and to experience, to remember the stories, and then they can contribute to the cultural center. So I'm sure I think they're doing something. I mean, we're definitely gonna be partnering, and we're super close with them now. So
One, part of that conversation, Carrie is amazing. We love Carrie.
she's amazing. Yeah.
We barely knew her, but she asked, what would you need from us? For your part of this project to be successful with family. And I told her point blank, I think you need to step away. I think you need to remove yourself and let the families do this on their own, first. And I haven't seen her since I made that comment. I have.
Email.
No, I know. I have so much aloha for her.
So much.
And she heard me. She heard me.
Yeah.
And she did. And we've been at that center, the old Richard Smart house down there.
Yeah. And
We've used it. We call her when we need her.
She's
She's there. She, she has it all worked out, but she doesn't center herself in this process. And that is huge. That's huge. We can't center ourselves because there's so many other stakeholders. There's so many other people, so it was huge. Sorry, that's all I can say. I have so much respect for her.
You have 27 acres and a nonprofit that's been tasked with the stewardship of that area, and a nonprofit board that needs to make decisions about how you do that, and hundreds of stakeholders that have a say in that. And at the end of the day, you've got to come up with a plan of, what are we going to do? And how do you get your head around that? And what's your timeline for here's what we're going to do, and here's how do you go about thinking about that?
Well, just to answer the timeline question, we have 2 years from the transfer of the title to produce a stewardship plan. So, yeah. And then the other part.
Yeah, I mean, what I do in my ohana is I make sure we communicate with everybody. I make sure everybody knows. And so everybody has the opportunity to show up and contribute. So if you don't show up, it's okay. You don't have to, So there is a very dedicated group of people right now. And I mean, we're keeping it simple. We're not going to do much on the land except invite people in, bring our kids back to show them and to teach them and to learn together, read the mo'olelo together, read the skies together. We want to be literate in nature and in our places again. Not this literate, but in observing the cycles. So to me, I think the stewardship plan includes that, having people come back and I guess, families will show up and people will come in when they can. But I'm always letting as many people as I know can. I mean, if they can make it, if as many people. And that's how I feel good about moving forward, that I include as many people, and you show up, you don't, that's okay, and you can come anytime and come into the process when you can. It might disrupt some things, but I don't know. I think we're keeping it simple. We're not we don't have these huge, big ideas about what it's supposed to look like right now. So
it could be the plan is just to protect the land.
Yep.
And see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, we want education programs. I run programs through Kaʻūpūlehu. Cousin ʻUle runs programs through Hui Aloha Kiholo. So, I mean, it'll probably look similar to that just because that's how we know how to be. But, it could look other ways too. I mean, fish camps, they have at Hui Aloha Kiholo for us to learn how to identify fish and their spawning periods. And so, small camps like that. I mean, there's so many really small things we could do,
And the they that you've referred to, like we don't trust them, we're worried about them. Once the deed is transferred into your organization, does that distrust go away?
I don't think so.
No, not at all. And them is everybody. The families themselves, have to learn how to renegotiate their own relationships with each other, and so it's our relationship with land, our relationship to each other, our relationship to the systems that are meant to protect us, our relationship to this community, to the Kekaha community. How many concentric circles are we going out from? Just Kekaha, Kona, West Hawaii, Big Island, Hawaii State, National. Like what? How are we connecting out? But those are all relationships that need to be nurtured, maintained. So no, the trust won't just go away, or the mistrust won't just go away. But we're not closed off to building trust. I think is the main point. I think many of the families feel reinvigorated to come to the table. We're seeing what's possible right now, and now that this is happening, it's allowed people to dream more. And be in a dreaming space, more or less.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
It's hard for me to be in dream space.
Yeah.
But great. I mean, to allow myself to dream is hard.
Yeah.
It's very emotional. I don't know. I'm just like very pragmatic and practical. Like.
It's very clear that what you're asking is to be able to share the stories within your community.
Yeah.
To help build a stronger sense of identity of place. But for those of us that live around here that call this home, those stories, even though we're new, those stories really help us to have a deeper identification with the place as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So how are those stories, are they even available at this point? Is there any written history about this area? Or is it all?
Yeah, online for sure. I did bring some bound books here, and sorry, we thought it would be too bright for a PowerPoint, so I did print some things out, but there are things online for sure. If you look up Kekaha or Ainakaha lands of North Kona, there really is a lot of assessments online that have been done, interviews. Not everything's going to be online, but there's a lot out there.
Yeah, and lots of folklore books and everywhere.
Folklore, huh?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, my brother.
I say, yeah. I say that with a grain of salt. No. But I mean, like there are storybooks that contain stories of place. Some of them, in many stories, Puako is a man. But in the story we were told Puako is a woman.
Right.
So just know that stories are going to change by author, by time they were written in, by anytime you're working from a Hawaiian language source material that's been translated. Always going to have changes, so yes, there's
but
lots of themes are
the same, right? Like they're people because we want you to feel kinship with them. That hill was a person because maybe that's a way to say, oh, I'm related. Like we are ohana. The land is related to us. We are the land. So it doesn't matter about gender. It just matters that it's connected, and that was the point of mo'olelo, was to show that. Yeah. And to teach you how to behave and how to take care of people who didn't have as much as you, or how to take care of kupuna. I mean, so many stories are that.
Yeah.
Well, the beauty of your location strategically is you're right adjacent to a huge area of visitors. And in terms of being able to help people that are visiting the island understand the context of the history, to appreciate being guests, is a huge opportunity to share.
So it is an opportunity for them for sure. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Opportunity will be here first. Yeah.
No pressure.
No. I mean, no.
I mean, it's important that if we as an entity can disrupt the tourism bubble and pop it as soon as they get off the plane. If you are stewarded from the plane to the hotel, to the restaurant, to the luau show, back to the hotel, back to the airport, if we can pop that bubble just a little, and and just be able to instill values, and just demonstrate how symbiosis between Kanaka and Aina works. I think that it could be super impactful. Yeah.
Could be, yeah.
Could be. Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a big ask, right? For somebody who's on vacation.
So we have a meal back there.
Yeah. Just while they're on vacation, enjoy.
We have a person back there. Go ahead.
Anyone from your family sort of foresee this coming, or it was totally out of like, was there any prophecy of like going over to the venture, or it came out of the blue?
The truth is, I foresaw it. Because my family was so close to Kapalawa, we have been watchdogging Kapalawa as in ohana, and this is really the first time I'm kind of saying this out loud to people not in ohana. We've been keeping an eye on Kapalawa for generations since we lost it.
Isn't that Auntie Anna's, the sprinter?
She's Kaʻūpūlehu. She's specifically that area ohana, and not too much here, but we're connected for sure.
But at the Four Seasons thing.
Oh, Four Seasons? Yeah.
Foresaw.
Huh?
Oh, foresaw it.
Oh, foresaw it. Oh, foresaw it. No, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, she said foresaw. Yeah, not Four Seasons, but because my ohana has been so connected to this aina for so long, and my grandma Nancy again came from Oahu, sued the people who took our land from us, but they went bankrupt, and so there was nothing we could do to get paid for the land, and so since then we've just been watching and making sure it doesn't get developed. And so we've been showing up in many ways. My dad, even though he never shared with us really, after he died we figured out he did all these things with Grandma Nancy. They never wanted to pass on that burden, and he did it, although it lived in him and us, and we just were like, wow, Dad was doing all these things, we got to do it. So my cousin Lehua, who I was named after, and we took over from my dad, her mom, our Grandma Nancy, to watch the land. And so we have been engaged in a long time watching the different owners go through. I've written letters to the owners, which is so hard. How do you explain to Paul Allen in a letter that ohana should get this land back? That was a lot for me to come up with a letter that was appealing. It was just rough. We did our best, right? We just no.
Well,
yeah.
To be fair,
the estate, his estate.
Which is why we approached.
His estate, said no, which was his sister and the lawyers involved. But so we had been watching it for a long time. My cousin Lehua and we meet a lot talking about Kapalawa. We have archives, we have timelines of how we lost the land and how we tried to get it back and watch it. And so when ʻŌiwi was starting to be reinvigorated, is the word you used, when we decided after COVID, okay, we got to get back to this, right? We decided to do ʻŌiwi. I remember calling the bylaws committee, which was our other brother who was the president first, and saying, you guys need to make sure you put in your vision makai, just in case. I was like, just expand it to down, because what if you never know.
Does that include the marine environment?
Yes. Yeah. Aupa'a goes into the ocean. Yes. Yeah. Includes the fisheries, includes the deep water. Yeah. Because there's caretakers in the water, right? All the fish and the.
Part of the 27 acres that you have.
In the system, no.
You can't own up to the high water mark, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't own, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but are you guys still?
Yeah, I used to. This is way too much talking for me. I feel very weird. Sorry.
Maybe we can just wrap up then, since it's 7 o'clock, and
Yeah.
we can talk some, look at maps after. And
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. Can we close with ʻOle, except the sun went down?
Yeah,
Can we
go
still
ahead.
do it? Just to close the space, and then thank you for listening to us and keeping up with